Okay, so this is a Chevy 3500 with a sliding door, the rear sliding door, and I thought I'd just make a video here in case it's helpful to somebody out there. I've been into this door way too much, fixing some of these parts and stuff, but if you haven't been in before, here's just a quick look of where stuff's at. So I have this is my new part, it's already on. This is the old part that broke. This is actually the second time it's broke on me, so defective parts, I guess, or something. But so we got, so this is the part I took out. Just put that one in, just so you know, as far as how that lock mechanism right there comes back in. This is the back side of what the part looks like, and there's like a little clip that just slides out of there that allows that lock mechanism to come off. So it's actually pretty easy. It's not too hard to deal with. So the way this thing is attached, if I come to the back side here, you can kind of see, looking up in here, you've got that bolt, or that little nut right there, and it's on that kind of the silver kind of backside that clamps onto it. So you got that nut right there, and then there's a little hole right here. There's a nut right up in here that you can get into with a socket set. So that's actually all that's holding that handle on, aside from the fact that then this part here, right here, is attached to this overall mechanism that normally sits right here, and I'll show you in a second. And then here, up here, is this other part right here, and it goes up into, you can kind of see right there, there's that attaches to the mechanism well. So this is for the handle, and that's for the lock down here. So this, and I'll pause from there and just come back to the mechanism now, and I'll show you that in a moment. Okay, so here is the mechanism. So normally it's right inside here, and it's right here now. So this is how it would normally sit in the door. This would be like the sliding door, or the latch is over here. So it's kind of backwards of how it's sitting normally. And then here's the part that is inside of the van and has this handle on it, like that. So this sits like this, and so the attachment points, here's this little white nubbin up here, and that's where that the door latch opener is going to attach to. And then down here at the back side, here is another one. That's what the lock mechanism attaches to on that handle. So this attaches pretty easily. It has these four nuts right here that I associate there with the door. Those come off real simple. Inside of the panel, over here you have three more, 1, 2, and 3, and those just attach 1, 2, and 3 here to that mechanism here. If you get an aftermarket one, this is my second aftermarket one, and this piece right here, I mean, if you get the same one I got, it's a manufacturing defect. Everything else on here is actually super cool. It's really made pretty well. A lot of good attachments and everything else, except for this one part. This is not welded on at all, and it's just like little clips. And over time, it's kind of under torque when the door is in use. So this is the second one that's broke on me, and after this one I had a friend weld this back on, basically here, and here. This is really what should have been done when they originally manufactured it. It should have been welded into place, and it's not. I don't know why. So if you get one of these, and it looks anything like this one, I recommend, before you even bother installing it, just weld it into place, because it's only a matter of time before it's going to come off. And when I say a matter of time, that's going to be like, weeks and months, not years. Yeah, so anyway, so that's there. So I'm gonna get this up into place, and we can kind of see how to put this back together. Okay, so you just have to kind of wiggle it up in there, kind of fish it around a couple places. I mean, it's just sort of just kind of work it into place. I just kind of temporarily attach these two bolts here. So this is maybe the worst one that you have to get, and it's hard to even show you, but it's basically, if you're looking down through this hole here, you'll see here this, it's hard to see it, but there's this bar right here, and if you kind of look up inside here, it's this, let's see, that bar right there. So that needs to attach to this. So you kind of have to really get your fingers back in there and just line up that nubbin into that white plastic connector, and just pull it toward you out to clip it into place. So it's kind of a pain, but you can kind of get it. And then you can kind of look down here, and here's the other one. Here's this one right here, and that's going to have to hook up to, this is the back side of it, but it needs to kind of rotate up into that white clip right there. So that's what I'm going to do next, is kind of get that little thing that's hanging down and rotate it up and get in there. Okay, so now I got that. The other parts that are here that are important, obviously we're going to put these, I just added this bolt in, and then there's one here, and then one here, and then two more here, so get those tightened up. This right here is the lock mechanism from the inside. This is the manual override, so that's going to need to line up with the clip when we put this panel back on. I'll show you that. And then, of course, if you have the power lock version, which is what I have, then, of course, we need to clip that back in there. And obviously, I'm kind of showing this whole thing process in reverse, so if you're getting into it the first time, then just reverse the steps. Okay, so this next section I'm showing you, so there's this bar here. So this door is big enough that there's actually, slide this door back, you can kind of see it go, there that bar shows up way back in there. You can kind of see it's like right up in here. So that bar goes back to a rear latch. So this whole mechanism also has to run that thingy back there. So this comes up to the front, this comes up in here, and this needs to slide into that position right there. It has this clip that slides down. This is almost a design defect too, I feel like, because I've had sometimes where like this here kind of gets stuck right in here, and doesn't fully, so I've even left this kind of up and off at times, but that's obviously, you can see, problematic in its own way. So I'm going to put it back on for now, but that's just something to be aware of there. But this goes back here. Now this is another thing that's important, is over here you have these clips, and you can kind of see, I'm going to take this one out because I'm going to replace these. This one's broken. You see the top one's missing this. So another problem I've had with this door is there's two of these. One is back here and one's here. So if these aren't in place, this can result, especially if this rear one isn't connected, it leaves it sloppy, this thing. And so it can actually make it so that even though you're pulling the handle over here at the front and it's kind of getting pulled this way, there's enough slop in this thing that if those aren't in place, it actually doesn't release the back door. So if you're having that problem, where you pull on the handle up here and it just feels like it's releasing up here, but then the door just still doesn't open, it may just be because, and this is what I had happen once, it's this clip back here is basically, either this came out of the clip, and the reason it came out of the clip is because, for my case, it was broken, but even if it just came out of the clip, it may not be actually releasing it. So that's what's going on there. So we got these two clips. I'm going to replace both of these so that hopefully I never have to open this thing again. So that's what's going on there. So I got this other bolt. I need to get something else here on this one yet, but yeah. Okay, so we got all those bolts and everything on. I showed you this here. And now I'll just point out this right here. So we've got, this is the thing, and so where this handle goes on to, so that is once all the panels and stuff are back on, this slides on like this. So if you're wondering, with all that panel work back on, how do you get this off? So what happens here is that if you look down on top, there's like that little slot thingy right there on the, so like right here you can see there's that little slot, and there's one on the back side too that goes, and what happens is there is a little clip that looks like this, and this slides around both of those, kind of like this. It's going to slip a sliding clip into those two little slots, and so when it's done, it's basically going to be sitting, in there kind of like that. And so what has to happen in order to get this handle off is you have to actually kind of slide a screwdriver down inside of here and pop this off. And once that comes off, this will just slide off. So if you have the panels on still and you have it sitting there and you're wondering how to get it off, you're going to have to kind of get down inside there and pop that little pin out, and then this will slide off, which will allow you to get the rest of that pull panel off. So what we're about ready to do now is get the panel back on in place, and we're going to start with the bottom panel. Okay, so here's the bottom panel, and in case you don't have the panel out yet, and there's always the mystery of what's behind those panels, what's holding it on. I've never really had a problem with the bottom panel. It's really just sort of just pull it off. You can see I have broken a clip or two, like here, in trying to get it off, but I don't think there's any other way around it. That's just is kind of the nature of the deal. So you can start at the top right here, but you can kind of see these are just on, on a lining clip, and then with these just sort of metal ones here that just kind of go into the frame. So these ones are, those ones just kind of pop off. It's these plastic ones that are a little more concerning. You just kind of have to kind of pry a little bit. But, to get it back on, we're basically just I start at the bottom, line these up at the bottom inside the door, and then just work my way up. So the bottom panel is actually pretty easy. So I got my panel inside here. Here it is. Usually works a little bit easier if you just have the door slightly ajar like I got it here. That way there's just kind of room to slide the panel down inside and then line it up with the clips. So you can kind of see those little slots down below, and that's what the metal ones are going up into. Okay, so then important thing as you get to this last panel part here is you've got this lock mechanism, and so as you look down inside this piece down here, there's that little, this is the slidey uppy thing, and that needs to align with that little pin right there. So if you don't get that put in, then your lock won't work, as far as the manual one from the outside. So I've made that mistake before, so make sure before you clip that fully on, you get those lined up. Okay, we got the bottom panel in. Now we got the top panel, and this one's a little bit more scary because you just really have to, if you're trying to take it out, you just really have to kind of yank on it. You got these little clips. It looks like this. They're like here, 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 and here. Yours actually, and see, as evidenced by the fact that I don't have some of these clips anymore because they broke in trying to get it off, because these really do bite into that plastic and hold it pretty well. So, but again, there's not really anything else to be done. You just sort of have to pop it off. So sometimes it's a pretty good yank, and sometimes those clips break. Unfortunately, these things are like crazy expensive. I'm not sure why for a piece of metal, but they are. So hopefully you don't break them when you get them off, but this is where you're gonna. So when getting it back on, then the panel, the little clips, I'll show you here. So you see these little slots right here, 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 and here, and here. Those are all just going to line up with those clips. Like, so here's that clip, and it's those little, it's going to slide into that there. So that's how that works. Okay, so we got the piece. We're going to put it in. Obviously there's an up and a down in the back and the front. You got that little notch there that's going to go back to that little opening. Obviously probably easier to get the window open, or at least latch open, so that's easier to do that. And then if when you took it off, any of these things got loose, they're like not as tight as they used to be, you can slide them off and use a pair of pliers and bend that tighter again. That way they're sitting pretty stiff. So, and then the last thing, once we get it kind of lined up, you want to make sure that the bottom, this part down, this part here, the bottom of the aligns with here, and you'll see on the back side, you probably saw it earlier, but there's like these clips right there that are going to go into those slots right there to kind of join the two panels together. So you kind of make sure all those are lined up before you force it into those clips, otherwise that won't work out as well. Okay, last couple things here, kind of going in reverse, but so maybe you're just starting and your panel kind of looks like this. So last thing you got up here is this little cover thing. Mine, I broke one off, over the course of time because of taking them on and off, but I still got one clip left here. So that's just gonna line up there and clip on. Hopefully you still have two of yours, so yours will stay more put than mine does, but so you got that clip there. And then the last thing is the door handle. So this is just gonna slide on like this. It just goes into that hole, but then looking from the top down, you can kind of see that those are those slots, and those slots obviously are going to see that little groove right there. Those slots are going to line up with that groove, and that's where that clip that I showed you earlier is going to just slide on over it. So I'm going to try and, it's a little bit of finicky work to kind of push this back in, get that in there, and slide it in place. Sometimes it works to even position the clip on top of this first, sort of setting ready to just slip into place, slide it on, and then just push it in with a screwdriver. So, all right. So here's an example of that. I got that clip just barely sitting on there so it won't go anywhere. And then we'll just take that there and slide it on gently. And now I can just take a screwdriver right next to that. You can see the clip still kind of showing right there. I'm going to take a screwdriver and just kind of pop it into place and we should be good. Okay, so yeah, got that back on and you can see there, there's that clip kind of holding it in place. So, and got my lock, picked it up and should be good to go. Oh yeah, by the way, little tip I had this happen to me earlier while I was making this video is to see when you're putting this in, don't, if you have the child lock, if you have that version of this, if try to remember to leave it unlocked so that way you're not stuck inside here and don't have to go out the front door in order to get back out of here again. But yeah, so yeah, hopefully that's helpful if I ever manage to get this posted, but hopefully that's useful to you if you're just trying to blindly find your way through this.